Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Selin. If you're new here, I am a nursing student and I just finished my halfway point for my nursing program. Today's video is going to be 5 tips to help you be successful at your clinical. So if you're starting nursing school or you're getting ready to apply, what is your clinical rotation? That is where you go to a hospital and take care of real patients while you're still in school. It's a lot of people do have fun. It can be overwhelming, and it can be a lot at times, but it's your real world experience that you get while you're in nursing school. I know that there are so many things that I wish people told me before I started school about what to expect at clinical. So my program is 5 semesters total. I just finished my 3rd semester, and this was honestly the first time that I felt comfortable at clinical and felt like I could say confident that I had a good clinical experience. My first semester, I just had horror story after horror story. My 2nd semester, the unit I was in sucked, and to be honest, I just didn't really care for going. But this past semester, I had a great instructor, a great unit, great nurses that we worked with, and overall, I guess my energy was just different. And at the end of the semester, my instructor pulled me aside and told me I did a good job, and that made me feel good. So I kind of just want to take this time to share with you 5 tips that I applied this semester to help me be successful and help me have a good time. Without further ado, let's get started. All right, forgive me guys if I am looking down because I have my notes on my computer open. So the first step, this is going to be for you guys to practice any skills that you probably don't feel comfortable with doing. This can be injections, changing a dressing, or even running through a head-to-toe assessment. When you're in the hospital during the day, it can be overwhelming. You might forget some parts of the nursing process or any specific little things. What I like to do is keep a notebook handy just to remind myself of things to do while I'm at clinical. I also have a health assessment pocket guide that I keep before the day gets started. I just look through it, and it just helps me do better with my head-to-toe assessments when I'm in the patient's room, so I know what I'm looking for. You know, even with giving medications, whether it's PO, IV, IM, sub-Q, I have a little injection pound that I bought from Amazon that I practice with. Now, it's not perfect. Practicing stuff at home isn't going to be the same as it is when you apply it on a real human being in a real hospital, but it can kind of help ease some nerves you might have going in, especially if it's your first time giving medication. All right, tip number 2. This might seem a little stupid, for lack of better terms, but show up on time and be prepared. So what does this mean? Get there before your instructor. If you have to report at 6:30 in the morning, I want you there at like 6:15, even better at 6 a.m. Give yourself time to park in the right spot, right? Find your group and kind of have a few minutes to relax before going into your shift. You will experience many hospitals during your time in school, different units, and it's gonna be difficult to find where you're going, park in the right spot, find your teammates, and it can just get hectic. You don't want to waste too much time walking back and forth or even running from the parking lot or garage to wherever you're supposed to meet everyone, right? And also it just looks good that you're there before your professor. I feel like that's also just a kind of intuitive thing to know. But also, like, be prepared. So what does that mean? You want to have all your supplies with you. Make sure you have your stethoscope, any books, maybe paperwork or assignments that you have to get done throughout the day. One of my horror stories my first semester, I had forgotten my stethoscope at home, and I was otherwise prepared and on time, and I got sent home before we even started, and it was like 6:30 in the morning, and I had to go home, and I cried the entire time, and it sucked, and I had to pay to make up a clinical day, and I don't want you guys to go through that. So make sure you're prepared. Don't forget what you need. All right, tip number 3. If you don't know something, don't be afraid to ask for help. So yes, you want to have confidence in yourself, but don't be afraid to ask for help or be honest if you don't know something. The whole purpose of you being at clinical is to learn. You might need time to look up a medication before you give it to someone. Take that time. If you are in a situation where you just don't know what to do clinically, ask either your instructor, another nurse, or the charge nurse for help. So don't be afraid to use them. It's better for a patient to see a student asking for help and seeking out learning opportunities rather than having a nursing student who doesn't know what they're doing. If someone were taking care of your family member, what would you expect from them? That's kind of how I think of it. So I'm someone who's honestly very teachable. I'm not afraid of asking questions. That's something that a lot of people do have issues with, but I mean, you're in nursing school, you kind of have to grow out of your comfort zone and just get used to the situations that you're gonna be in. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Okay, tip number 4, help others where help is needed. If for some reason you have nothing to do, ask others if they need help. I want you to ask your classmates, another nurse that you pass by in the hallway, the charge nurse, or ask one of the patient techs. You are not too good to help a tech change linens or to clean a patient. You're not too good to gather food trays out of the rooms or to just clean it up in general. You help the janitors for all I care. At the end of the day, everyone is there to take care of patients. It doesn't matter whether they're the attending, the nurse practitioner, the nurse, or the janitor cleaning the room. The employees, no matter who they are, will be grateful for your help, and it reflects well on your character and your school. It's just the right thing to do. I don't think I need to go further into it. All right, tip number 5, seek out learning opportunities. So hopefully you will have a clinical professor that seeks out observation days outside of your unit. This was the first semester I had where my instructor scheduled days to observe on different units. So I had an opportunity to go to a bone marrow transplant unit as well as an ECMO ICU unit, which was honestly really interesting. Or even, they might even arrange opportunities for you to shadow maybe the charge nurse in your unit. I had that as well. So it's really refreshing, honestly, to see other parts of nursing outside of the floor that you're on. And it exposes you to something that you might be interested in. Even if you don't go to other units, there are still ways to seek out opportunities on the floor that you are on. For instance, if a nurse that you probably aren't assigned to has a patient who's getting a procedure done that you never saw in person, try to hang on to them and see if you can get into the room and observe whatever is going on. There was one time where there was a patient who was not mine. I know that sounds bad, but not my patient. How should I explain this to make it sound less bad? There was a patient assigned to the nurse that I was not assigned to. However, I was allowed to tag along because it was still a closed unit. And this patient had a wound vac that was going to be placed, and I haven't seen that in person before. So I worked my way in there, and it was a patient who was on precaution, so I had to gown up, and she had sutures on her abdomen from a surgery, and so we had to call both the nurse practitioner and the attending to remove the sutures because the surgical opening wasn't big enough for where the wound vac was being placed. So I kind of like got, for lack of better terms, got stuck in there for about an hour while the NP and then the attending came. They removed the sutures while the wound vac nurse was in there, and they worked their way to figure out kind of dress the wound. And it was just really interesting for me to see an entire team collaborating at one time on such a on something that you probably wouldn't expect them to spend that much time on. I got to see a nurse practitioner, I got to see the surgeon come up to remove the sutures, I got to see the wound vac nurse, which was cool, and she was talking to me while she was like tunneling and measuring the wound. So yeah, that's one example. Another example is when I also hopped onto a nurse that I wasn't assigned to because her patient was getting an NG tube placement. And that was also the first time I saw an NG placement because I've only ever practiced in my school's lab on the mannequins. And if you know, mannequins and humans are just different. So Anyways, without getting too excited about this one topic, just seek out opportunities, right? It doesn't hurt to show that you are eager to learn and see new things. It might not sound interesting now, but the first time I saw these things in real life, I did get really excited, and it shows initiative. So once again, it reflects on you and your school. Now, I'm finished with my 5 main tips, but I do have one more, and that is just to have fun and take it for what it is. You're gonna have situations where you won't know what to expect. That's the beauty of working in nursing and working in healthcare. One day you'll have something, and the next day you'll have something completely different. We like to say that we don't want exciting days, meaning that we don't want too much happening to our patients, right? But there are definitely times in clinical where I've had almost too much excitement in one day. One example being a fever in the middle of the day that I noticed, and then like an hour later, some family member that was visiting started having a seizure in the hallway, and it was my first time experiencing a seizure, and I had to just run and get pillows and try to help in any way I can. But yeah, those opportunities, I look back and I'm proud of myself for kind of just stepping in, because it showed to others that I'm trying even though I'm not where I will be. And my instructor, when she pulled me aside at the end of the semester, told me that she was proud, and it felt really gratifying. So that's why I'm sharing this with you. Hopefully these tips help you, and I hope that you guys have a great experience at your clinical rotations. I know that there are times that you're gonna be tired, you're not gonna feel well, you'll probably have patients that are not kind to you, which is unfortunate, but it does happen. But at the end of the day, you're working towards a goal, and it's gonna be worth it in the end. So that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and that is it. So that being said, bye guys.